drag race, let's check out how this thing drives in its natural environment. After all, this is where it was engineered, in these sorts of conditions, carving corners. This is not a straight line machine, although they are very quick. Now, choosing between the automatic and manual, well, firstly, if you want pure interaction and engagement, obviously the manual is more fun. Even when you're just driving around town, you can row through the gears and it just feels more engaging, more exciting to drive. In saying that, this 8-speed dual clutch automatic is very good. It's probably one of the best dual clutch automatics currently on the market. It's refined, it's smooth, it doesn't have any of the weird clunking or anything like that. There is a tiny bit of sort of rollback on the hills and so on that you get going from reverse to drive. You've got a bit of a delay, but it is definitely way better than Hyundai's previous 7-speed dual clutch automatic. Yeah, it's just very smooth and you don't get many of the drawbacks of a dual clutch automatic. But then when you're driving in the mountains or on the track, you've got manual mode and extremely fast changes. Nice little pop of the exhaust on upshift. I've had this chirping into third and I think even fourth gear when I drove one around Bathurst, the Mount Panorama circuit once, and it was, yeah, chirping just into fourth gear. You can't achieve the same speed of shifting in the manual, there's no doubt about it. It is much quicker than the manual as well as a result, and as you'll see in the drag race, but by how much, well, let's find out. But what I would choose in the real world, it's a very hard choice actually. I like this dual clutch because, yeah, you can go down a mountain road like this and just really have fun and pull third and so on, and it's chirping as you're going over a corner or over a bit of a bump, and it's super exciting and quick. Whereas the manual is a little bit slower, but you just got that increased engagement. I think it really depends on what you're going to use this for. If you're going to mainly drive on mountain roads like this, or mainly on the track, then the manual is probably the pick. But if you're doing some commuting, then this automatic has a side benefit of being able to just drive as a comfortable cruiser as well. I mean, you can do that in the manual, but yeah, you've got to change gears and put your clutch back in when you pull up at the lights and so on. It's worth noting the automatic does use less fuel as well in the real world, and in fact the spread between the automatic and manual is wider in the real world in my experience. Like in this, we're averaging 9.1 litres per 100 kilometers, whereas in the manual we're well over 10 litres per 100. So if fuel does concern you, then the automatic it has the potential to offer a lower consumption rate. I think that's because in the manual you end up leaving it in a gear and just letting it rev a little bit more, whereas this will automatically upshift. It doesn't automatically upshift too soon like some gearboxes out there at the moment, just to try and hunt for better fuel economy. It will just shift at a nice revs. It doesn't labor the engine or anything like that. But yeah, unless you're driving in manual mode, then it will shift up earlier. I mean, yeah, shift up earlier to save fuel. Yeah, so quick this thing, it really punches off the line, and it's got so much grip. This is a very ordinary tarmac surface. As you can hear, there's some stones and so on. It's just so planted on the road though. Going back up, I'll give it a bit more. I've got the stability control completely turned off, and you'll see that the limited slip diff at the front, which does have different settings, you've got 2 different settings for the limited slip diff. That's a good note as well. You do have more settings to play with the automatic, such as the N grin shift mode. So you push that and you get about 20 seconds worth of just faster shifting, I guess. Although I did do some performance runs, some acceleration runs using the NGS button, and there was no proper measurable difference between the 0 to 100 time. Not consistently anyway, like every time you run it you get a slightly different time regardless of pushing that button, but I can't confirm that that's actually quicker with that mode on, in terms of acceleration across 0 to 100 anyway. If you're out on the track and so on, then that's, you know, a bit of fun. You can just push that button and just experience a bit more performance. But I'll try it now for you. So 20 seconds. You can hear that exhaust popping and banging. It's quite a loud system. The downhill around here, they have a lot of pressure on that outside front tyre, but it's just gripping up. I can turn more if I want to. It's a very agile little hatchback, that's for sure. If you know what you're doing, you can back off the throttle and get the rear to just swing out just a little bit, then you're back on the power and it'll just tuck it back into line. It's a great vehicle for experienced drivers, but also fun for beginning drivers as well. Yeah, like look at that, just pulled away from that corner, second gear, full throttle, all the way up near red line. Excellent brakes, hard on the brakes because it's so light. It weighs about 1,500 kilograms. There's no extra pressure on the brakes. You can option up with the N performance accessory pads, which I would do if you're doing a lot of performance driving. I've had those on the track. That's what I used out on the Bathurst Mount Panorama circuit. No problem at all, no fade, nothing. It just went beautifully all day. And just speaking about the weight, the manual is around 33 kilograms lighter according to the specs. This weighs around 1,540 kilograms, whereas the manual weighs around 1,510 or 1,507 I think it is. I'll flash up the exact specs now. The diff in this thing, that was full throttle. It didn't spin the inside wheel at all. It just ripped me around the corner. I think this is probably the best hot hatch currently on the market, just in terms of overall dynamics and capability. I know the Honda Civic Type R is awesome. It has excellent suspension, it's able to absorb bumps and so on, but it's pretty rigid like this. But I think this has it because you can get it with an automatic for starters, so it's going to be have a broader reach of audience, but also you've got all the different settings to play around with, which you don't get with the Civic Type R. Like, look at all that. You've got 3 different modes for the suspension, 3 different modes for the ESC, including completely off, 2 different modes for the E limited slip differential, 3 different modes for the engine, launch control, lap timer, onboard lap timer. Yeah, it's just amazing the capability of this thing. I think that's why it's slightly better than the Civic Type R. If you are after a specific hot hatch and pure speed and, well, I guess acceleration has got more power, then the Civic Type R is good. But for overall, take this to work every day and go to the track and set a good lap time, then I think the i30 is just slightly better. Yeah, really pulls along. All right, let's head out now to do the virtual drag race. As before, I've set up the tripod at 3 different spots down the private road for the full quarter mile. But the times at the end are the best result with the V-Box.